Okay, so this is our director's commentary for question 2 of our media studies coursework evaluation, and the question is, how effective is the combination of your main product and ancillary tasks? So the first topic is font, and the kind of the font we use between our three media packages. We haven't used the same font across the marketing package, which challenges what marketers usually do, but we felt this was appropriate for our specific trailer, poster and magazine cover.
So yeah, in terms of a comparison between sort of the narrative graphics within the trailer and the poster and magazine cover, we felt that we should use a more simplistic style of font within the narrative graphics, which was just an Arial bold, so people could focus more on the stocks which were being overlaid on top of them, which also acts like to conform to what our influence do, like Welcome to the Punch and Only God Forgives. They give that real sort of neon glow to the text and makes you focus on what the text says, but also on the effects which are going on, which are real tropes of the genre.
And the reason we didn't use the same one in the ancillary tasks was because obviously for the magazine, the way magazines work is a bit different, so unless they're doing a special sort of issue for it, they tend not to use the actual font of the film we found on the magazine front cover, so obviously we didn't have to. For the poster, however, usually or quite often they'll be, to keep the marketing campaign consistent, they'll have to use the same font in the trailer. But we didn't do this because we thought it was we used a similar font. The font was called Urban Jungle. We used a similar font, which meant that it remained consistent, but it was sort of more graphically bold. So it worked well for the poster, but it was a little too intricate to actually use in the trailer. So we used a more sort of simplistic one in the trailer, which is why they're different.
Yeah, I agree, and also just expanding on that, with the Urban Jungle font, the city being shown in the bottom of the font, that really isn't necessary in the trailer because the trailer shows the city in various shots throughout, but in the poster it's not evidently obvious apart from the background image in all three of our posters that it's got something to do with the city, so we just wanted to enforce that through the bottom of the font. We thought that is why we chose Urban Jungle. Alright, for another section of this evaluation question, we sort of considered the aesthetic link between the trailer and our ancillary tasks, and we were really heavily influenced by our influences, as you would be. As you can see throughout all of our posters, but specifically mine, because of the sort of fragmented lines of which the central image comes out of. Regarding central image, the central image is a shot from the actual film which really is reflective of like staples within the genre which we wanted to do, the crime thriller genre, from Welcome to the Punch, Drive, any films like that you've seen previously on our blog. And regarding the previously mentioned fragmentation of like the poster, the lines with the city in the background, we sort of felt that was reflective of the character's situation, especially in relation to the title Two Evils. It kind of gives that idea of choice and like balance between the city and morals, and we really felt like also through having both in the poster and in the magazine cover close-up shots of Gabriel, it really highlighted an intimacy between the audience and the main actor, and in that sense we were also marketing Gabriel as an actor as well as the film as a whole.
Yeah, so in my poster and magazine, I used quite a similar style to Joe here. Whereas we used like the main central image, obviously, of Gabriel holding the gun, which is consistent to both our trailer and our poster cover. But we used a slightly different picture for the magazine because we wanted it to be more formulated to what we actually wanted for the style of our magazine. And although it is a whole media package, the magazine is slightly separate from the poster and the film, and it doesn't really have to link unless if you want it to. For instance, on the magazine, linking to the idea of Joe was talking about how we wanted to market Gabriel and his character and that kind of that whole style throughout the process. On my draft of the magazine cover, I positioned Two and Evils either side of Gabriel's head to kind of suggest this like the split personality, which is quite a like major theme within our actual trailer. This idea of like him kind of split personality. Also, I used on the magazine cover, I had coding going down. I had this very light low opacity layer of coding going down the back of my magazine behind like the main central image, which I was influenced by a media magazine cover who did that with Tom Cruise, and I felt it worked within the style of our whole media package because it kind of links all three, poster, magazine and trailer together, with this idea of crime and law and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, as I mentioned before, the central image was extremely important to us, because most magazine covers, no, not magazine covers, poster covers like Welcome to the Punch, they have they had the central image of James McAvoy holding the gun, pointing it out towards the audience to kind of engage them within the poster and within the film. And we wanted to do something similar, especially with the fragmented lines, as Joe mentioned earlier. And well, yeah, that's probably what to say.
I mean, my magazine was a bit different because I wanted to conform to the sort of Sight and Sound was my main influence, the sort of film studenty magazine. So I used us three as the directors on the cover, which did conform to that genre of magazine, and it did make the magazine obviously less coherent within the sort of marketing, from the marketing point of view. But it could be argued that it expands the audience base, and that the magazine, the trailer and the poster on their own are sort of the main drivers of a marketing campaign. And that's why for my poster I did actually use the same central image which we took from the film, which obviously is, it adds coherence to the marketing campaign as well as being a bold image. As obviously we all like the image because we used it in the poster. And yeah, I think we all tried to sort of reflect sort of duality and the idea of a difficult decision to make in both the trailer and the poster. Whereas the magazine sort of conformed more to a sort of marketing of the actor. So, we can imagine that this actor would have gone on talk shows and stuff, and there might be an interview of him in the magazine, with him in the magazine.
Yeah.
So he is a driving force for the sort of campaign for the film,
Yeah.
as sort of any major actor would be. We weren't obviously able to get a major actor.
So, mate, can I just expand on what you said earlier?
Yeah.
You were saying how sort of we were broadening our audience through using a different style within the magazine cover. I feel like that really is necessary because the like genre of our trailer has to be reflected within the poster, but different styles of magazine covers actually vary massively. Like, as you can see, mine is very much influenced by the sort of artistic, really creative style of Little White Lies, while Max's here is like the very much mainstream but effective cover of Empire and Media magazine and things like that, while Charlie's is, like he said, a film student style Sight and Sound, which sort of creates like an intimacy between the audience and the people behind the scenes within the film as well. It just doesn't focus on the main actors, and I feel like the mix between that gave us a real diversity when it came to choosing what the final magazine cover was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
yeah, it helped us kind of get a broader understanding of what each separate magazine was kind of looking for, and actually like the audiences they were searching for. So it kind of helped us to decide, when we do decide on our favourite one, it kind of helped us to decide like what audience we wanted to look at and kind of target.
So a sort of penultimate thing we can talk about is the tagline for the sort of the marketing campaign, which is really something that I think links the whole thing together. So in the trailer, obviously we have the sort of very intense moment where it goes from the first bit, when you're caught between two worlds, and then it goes sort of ... and then the next bit says, which way do you turn? And I did use that in my poster to try and sort of reflect some duality, and sort of to include the thing to sort of push forward the marketing campaign and sort of present it as sort of as strongly as I could, especially given that my magazine doesn't conform as much to the sort of traditional marketing campaign style. But you guys did it sort of slightly different.
Yeah, I feel like when I did it, the when you're caught between two worlds, which way do you turn? On my magazine cover, I didn't actually use the tagline at all due to me, like as previously mentioned, doing like a sort of minimalistic Little White Lies style with the central image being the main thing on the magazine. cover. However, on the poster, I used the entire tagline, and I really think this can be viewed in like conjunction with the central image of Gabriel facing one way, like actually facing a direction. I think the two can be linked together to sort of like create like an enigma within the audience and kind of question them as to which way do you turn, like what are the options, which way can you turn. I feel like that will really build interest in our film, and like Charlie said, it really works within the marketing campaign. But Matt, you did something different.
Yeah, on my poster again, I didn't use the tagline in my magazine cover because similarly to these two, I wanted to focus on Gabriel and kind of marketing him to the audience. But in the poster, I didn't use the whole tagline. I just used the which way do you turn, which is a bit similar to Joe's point he just made about kind of having Gabriel facing one way and kind of questioning the audience about what should they do. And really the only reason I didn't use the rest of it was because I felt just having that one line across the top was quite powerful and worked within the style of my poster. But I'm sure if I'd done the poster differently, I probably would have used the whole tagline. But I just felt it worked within mine. Okay, so like the major USP for our whole media package was colour and tone, effectively, which you can see across all of our posters, even magazines and trailer. Is this kind of this common feature of these neon colours, blue, sometimes red, kind of thing, to suggest like not only do they, especially for me in the bar sequence in the trailer, although it's not red, I feel like the blue suggests quite like an intimate atmosphere. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Which linked with the cinematography there, with our kind of choice to actually position the shots and the framing quite like closely together. I felt worked overall, and we wanted to carry this onto the poster and even the magazine covers. Now, for instance, another example of like the colour and tone in our film, which can be linked to the outward influences such as Zodiac, is the moment when Jake Gyllenhaal's character is walking into the press building, and there's kind of like a low angle shot of him looking looking a bit like wary about something, with a huge building in the background behind him. And we did this with our main protagonist Gabriel, where he was standing kind of at a low angle behind a massive building with purple neon lights kind of just shot up from underneath, under lighting, and we kind of this whole kind of feature of colour and tone we felt was just really really important to our whole kind of package and linking everything together and kind of engaging.
It was about setting as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Using London is sort of, in terms of vibrancy of colour, you don't get sort of much better in an urban environment than
I really
South
agree
Bank
with that. And also you can say with the really like neon purple, blue, red on the tall buildings as well, it is really quite intimidating, and that is sort of a feeling that we wanted to get of the sort of like claustrophobic nature of the city, and sort of like as you can see within, as you said,
all the shots,
and also all of the shots which we've done.
If we look at sort of our ancillary tasks, mine in particular, I think I went for sort of the green-blue side of the colour and tone that we were trying to put across. So in both, I mean, my magazine cover, obviously the masthead of the magazine, the martini shot, it's unclear whether or not that's specifically they've changed colour and tone to market that film, or whether or not that's sort of just the way the martini shot markets itself. And it could be either, because it does absolutely fit with our colour and tone, partly just because that's a colour scheme I like, and it's why I've used it in the poster as well, in order to sort of bring home, and Welcome to the Punch, that very, very bright neon that they use throughout their trailer and for their narrative graphics is absolutely part of their poster, and it's sort of the main sort of image of their poster. Same with Hummingbird and Only God Forgives, and all the sort of colour influences that we used. So I sort of really went for sort of turquoisey, greeny, blue type colour scheme for all three of my for the bits I edited in the trailer. I tried to get that in, and certainly for my magazine and poster, I definitely included that as much as I could. Whereas I know, Joe, you went for the sort of more neon and sort of
Yeah,
urban
yeah. I
bit.
kind of went with a more drive, only God forgives style. I mean, especially with End of Story, like my magazine title. As Charlie said, it may be the way that the magazine markets itself, but I saw it when I was making it as more of a special cover to reflect the sort of like connotations of colour within our own trailer and our own to-be film, which the magazine
Yeah.
poster was marketing. Magazine cover was marketing, sorry. And I felt like the neon blue with the yellow really worked in sort of bringing out the connotations of the city and the colours which we wanted to
Yeah,
try.
I think like when we were kind of at like the start of making this kind of process, like making the packages, we watched a lot of crime thriller trailers, and we kind of found that a common link between all of them was their aesthetic and how they'd clearly focused on it at the start, hadn't they? Which I feel we then realised the kind of like the need to do that by obviously going on our recce's up to London to take pictures of the different locations that we could possibly use. And I just feel it's like a hugely important part of our film, which links everything together, as I said earlier.
It's really important to the genre, isn't it? Because the thing with crime thriller is that it's quite a sort of, it's a very specific genre in terms of you have sort of two factions, the police and or the law enforcement and criminals, and that sort of limits your narratives. So we try to sort of reflect both the police and the criminal world, but when you've got sort of a limited sort of set of given narratives, you are sort of left with how do you sell your film, how do you make it, how do you give it a USP, how do you make it unique? And one of the ways that a lot of things do that is through sort of their aesthetic, and you sort of, sometimes it's the director, so sort of, Fincher will often go for sort of more grey and, monotone type of sort of style, and that's how he sort of differentiates his work, whereas Nicholas Winding Refn, who did Drive and Only God Forgives, obviously leans more toward the neon-y thing.
Definitely.
And we sort of decided that that's how we wanted to differentiate our film from sort of the hoi polloi of crime thrillers.
Sure.